I think this chart bores a lot of people, but this is a S&P 500, a snapshot, a picture of equity markets. If you hold crypto, you hold Bitcoin, you hold ADA, this chart is probably more important than your Bitcoin and ADA chart, as we underline some context for this kind of important video going into this new week. This is S&P 500. The one thing I'm watching going into this new week, going into really the next couple of weeks of earnings coming out, we have these previous lower highs in this bear market. You just see resistance, these lower high resistance area. Right now, S&P 500, you can see last week closing on the daily chart above this 200-day moving average. This is an important move as we go into this new week for one main reason. If you look at these previous lower highs, you can see S&P kind of seeing resistance, coming down, and then testing a moving average, right? Tests a moving average, but sees resistance for another lower high and just continues falling. Same back here. Lower high resistance, comes back down, and then it makes a pop to the upside, and there's the resistance right at the 200-day moving average in red, the 20-day moving average in green, and this is something that has just repeated itself, right? And here we are right now. Will there be resistance? And if there is resistance starting this brand new week, we could see just like a candle kind of open down here, right at the 200-day moving average, if not below. What happens there? This is so meaningful as we start kind of digging into these charts. This is Bitcoin on the weekly. Now, let's start telling the bigger picture story, not just what's happening this week or even the next couple of weeks. But here's a big move on Bitcoin that we're looking at. This weekly move is huge, especially if you've been watching my YouTube channel. I talk about these yellow lines, these 786 retracements. These are the bottom of bear markets in terms of the data that I track. This is just how I see the charts, but this is where Bitcoin bottoms. And it's a range that requires patience, but most recently, we have Bitcoin falling below the 786 line, and we've been waiting for this move, and it is an explosive move above the 786 line through the 20-week moving average in green, and now here we are, Bitcoin opening up a brand new week as I do this video. What is going to happen next? We start getting a little bit of answers, or at least guidance, on the Bitcoin daily chart, and I want to discuss this. If we look at the Bitcoin daily chart, here's the move, what it looks like. Not only do we break through the 786 and the 20-week moving average in green that we just saw, but we've also broken through this, the 200-day moving average, which is confluent with this Fibonacci retracement on the short term. So all it is the previous swing high in November to the swing low, the low of this bear market, and it retraced back up to this resistance area. Bitcoin on the daily trading above it right now. A very big explosive move for Bitcoin. If we're looking for a macro shift, if we're looking for a pivot point, even if Bitcoin's going to fall back down a little bit, this is a type of pivot point we want. This is the type of move that we want to see for that slow shift of momentum from bears to bulls, from bear market to bull market. Now, here's what I'm watching to the downside, and an hourly chart on Bitcoin I'm actually about to bring into play to kind of explain why I'm watching an hourly chart on Bitcoin, but it's important. So if we're looking at this Bitcoin chart, it's pretty obvious, right? 200-day moving average, confluent with this resistance that we just broke. 200-day moving average, very important in bear markets. This is 2018 bear market. Look at it all the way up here, the entire bear market, and it was the end of the bear market. Bitcoin broke above the 786 line in yellow and the 200-day moving average, and this was just a huge indicator of the end of the bear market. Now, notice what Bitcoin did then. Just continued momentum to the upside, continued explosive momentum to the upside. We go into this new week. Markets are different now, obviously. We go into this new week, we start looking at earnings. It's earnings seasons, shaping up to be a market-moving event, says this headline. I'll put the link in the description. We start watching S&P 500 equity markets. We start seeing the headlines of recession and tracking all of this data that we're tracking. Does Bitcoin have momentum to continue to the upside, or is it going to fall? Now, if it falls, this is what I'm watching. 200-day moving average support, is it there around $19,500? What we ultimately want to see is this. We have the 20-day moving average crossing above the 50-day. This is this story that we just want to see Bitcoin maintain above, support above. Even if it falls all the way down to these moving averages into the 18,000s, you can just see a move like that for Bitcoin would be, 15% or so, 15, 20% to the downside. Very confluent with the 786 macro line. So we have some cushion for Bitcoin now to see a little bit of a dip if it's going to. But first things first, I'm watching this area. The 200-day moving average is $19,500. And right now, it's awesome to see, at the very least, Bitcoin breaking a lower high Fibonacci retracement, because you start zooming out, Bitcoin has been failing at these areas, right? These lower highs on Bitcoin They've been failing, just Bitcoin failing at these areas. To see it not fail like that and see it explode through and get separation above the 200-day moving average, once again, and I think I mentioned this in the previous video, Bitcoin is not traded above the 200-day moving average. We're starting to see that macro shift. Hourly chart, this is what it looks like, everybody. I'm watching it because the target to the downside, important. You start looking at this kind of consolidation pattern on Bitcoin, whether a target is hit or not. I'm watching for the target to the downside. Notice on this chart, the daily chart, 19,500 is the 200-day moving average. You go over here, we're looking at just above that probably is the target of this symmetrical triangle. And if we're looking at target to the upside for continuation, 22,000 or so to the upside. So it's kind of like, for me, what direction is Bitcoin going to go? And as we go into tomorrow, we start watching the stock market open. It's going to be extremely interesting to see what this week starts with in terms of momentum. Now, in terms of this triangle that we're watching on the hourly, I just don't know. I mean, we're literally at the apex. A few more hours maybe until just Bitcoin's making a move one direction or another, or is it just going to totally trade sideways through the apex until markets open? Something to watch, something I'm watching for, but I think there's going to be an explosive move one way or the other. Hopefully soon, probably in the next 24 hours is what I'm anticipating. No guarantees. This is just me sitting here talking to you on a Sunday night about what I'm anticipating this week. But 24 hours, at least to 22,000 or down into the $20,000 range where we're going to meet this big support area of 19,500. But you know this, everybody. Bitcoin and crypto surprise us. Sometimes they just trade sideways, and it's painful as we sit there and we watch and we wait for a move that just seems to take forever to happen. But that's what I'm watching for Bitcoin, everybody. But ultimately, a bullish move so far for Bitcoin. Let's see if we see that continuation, a pop to the upside, a similar move like we saw in the 2018 bear market end, actually happening in 2019. So let's go over to ADA. This is ADA on the weekly. If you have been watching our ADA videos, this entire area of resistance is proven to be just that, an area of resistance. It's that story that we don't want to see play out that we've seen this entire bear market. It's the 20-week moving average resistance. We've seen it over and over again, these lower highs on the macro for ADA, lower high resistance, lower high resistance, lower high resistance. And here we are again, drawn up to the 20-week moving average in green, and we're at this resistance area. On the daily chart, this is what it looks like. Look at that wick right into this 36-cent area. Remember, the 36-cent area is the 20-week moving average that we just looked at. But not only that, it's this area of resistance that we talked about in a previous video as well. The previous swing high in November, very similar to Bitcoin, to swing low, the low for ADA in this bear market so far. And we have this Fibonacci lower high resistance. So the 618 sitting right around where the 20-week moving average is. 618 on this daily chart, the 786 right around 39 to 40 cents. This area of resistance, you can just see the daily chart, ADA made its way to it. Just an awesome move in the last couple of weeks or so, but you see this resistance right here. Will there be continuation for ADA bulls to, at the very least, make a move into this area to continue testing it? The 39.40 cent area, I can't help but wonder if it's going to be tested. Right now, as I do the video, we're kind of getting this 20-day moving average just about crossing above the 50-day moving average. It's a bullish move. And same thing as we just discussed on Bitcoin. We want to see, even if the markets are going to fall, we want to see the support at these areas. This is always the macro test that we've been watching for this entire bear market. And this entire bear market, ADA continues to fail at these moving averages to see higher highs and higher lows above those areas. It just keeps falling, right? Falling. We want to see higher highs and higher lows. So boom, boom, and just continuation ultimately. This is the bear to bull market shift. That's what it looks like. And that's what we're waiting for very patiently. And that's all we do. Because nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows when it's going to happen. But I'm confident in just my years of tracking these charts. I'm confident it's going to happen. And I want to be here to document it. Here's a 6-hour chart, a very nice just picture of the move that ADA has had, but the brick wall of resistance that is directly in front of it right now. So are we going to get this continuation? Boom, right into it. Something we could potentially just watch happen overnight, could happen early tomorrow, sometime this week, or is crypto going to fall if stock markets open in the red tomorrow, is this going to fall? If it falls, what happens? What is this? This is a higher low that I'm watching on the ADA charts. I have in there daily moving average because this is important where the daily moving average is. We go to the daily chart. Remember, we just talked about it, the 50-day and 20-day. There's kind of getting this 20-day crossing above it right now, but this area right here is a key area of support, a higher low support. It's a swing low to swing high that we've seen, and you can see higher low support structure. 618 around 28, 29 cents, 786 right around 27 cents. And right with that area is the two moving averages we just discussed. So there's room to the downside for ADA. Let me just kind of plot that out on the 6-hour chart. If markets are going to crash, we don't get the bulls delivering that momentum we want to see. To the downside, we have around 18 to 25% now for ADA to fall into that higher low support. So this doesn't necessarily have to happen to like this week. This could be multiple weeks of just trending down to that area. Right? So it could be just a huge crash. It could just be kind of up and just teasing us and just trending down. And it's like late January and finally it's testing that area. It could be painful. We can't just sit here and expect that markets are going to continue to the upside. We can look for it. We can wait for it. And right now at least I'm watching this resistance area up to around 40 cents. If ADA can make the move into it, I want to see what happens. Is there continued resistance? And remember, just to get to the 40-cent range, that's still another nice 10, 12% for ADA to do. So there's probably the biggest thing that I'm learning, even as I'm just actually doing this TA, is a reminder. We have to have some patience. All of these moves, all of these targets, to the upside, to the downside, they don't always happen overnight. We get these nice blast off kind of moves that are nice, but they don't always happen. Sometimes it's just sideways 6-hour candles, sideways daily candles. And then finally, there's a move. But these are the targets that I'm watching for ADA. ADA at resistance right now. We know downside support. That's what I'll be watching. Time will tell. I sit here. I wonder with you because I'm just an ADA holder. I'm just tracking crypto markets with you. So everybody hit that subscribe, hit that like. I hope you're doing well. I hope you have a great start to the week. I'll see you all in the next video. Have an awesome night. God bless.